All right. So anybody got through number one? Yes, no, maybe. Nobody got through number one. All right. So let's go and try and see what we can do. All right. So if we're looking at this angle here, we see just trying to get a feel of what information we have for this question. We see we have the hypotenuse here, yeah, and this is the angle in question, and we have the side opposite to it, right? So then we can ask ourselves if we're going to try and find this angle, this side here, which is x, we're going to have to use this information, opposite and hypotenuse. So you then have to go to your trig rules and see which of them have opposite and hypotenuse, and that is sine. So what we can say is a sine angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, right? So we're having sine, and we can put the angle size in. The angle is 30 degrees, so you can put 30 equals to opposite. That's what we don't have, which is x, and over hypotenuse, which is 10 centimeters. So at this stage, you can punch sine 30 in your calculator, or you can wait to punch it in and you can rearrange your formula first. So I am going to punch it in my calculator first and get a number value before I start rearranging, right? So if you look on your calculator, like, I'm very sorry I don't have an electronic calculator up. I was trying to get one up so that I could actually be confident that you are comfortable using the calculator, but I didn't get that chance. So what you will have to do, you just look on your calculator and you will see sine. It will say SN on some calculators, or it will say SIN, right? So you just touch sine and then you touch the number that's in bracket. That's in bracket there. So for me, I'm using my phone scientific calculator. So I'm just going to touch sine. Let me see if I can bring up something so to show you. Or I can just show you the one on the on the laptop. That's not what yours would look like on your phone. But just, are you seeing it? Yes, I think you are. So my sign is under this trig button here. So I will just go for it. I will just go for it and touch sign. The sign would come up and then I would plug in 30. Where is it gone? Sign 30. So that's 0.5. Yeah. So that's basically what you do. Just touch sign and then 30 and you'd have 0.5. So for all of this here, it is a 0.5 equals to x over 10. So I need to get x by itself here. You need to get x by itself. So it's being divided here. So when I take it across the equal sign, it's going to be multiplied. So I am at 0.5 times 10 equals to x. Zero point 0.5 times 10 is basically half of 10. So that's going to be 5. 5 centimeter equal x. And so by using the sine rule, you have found um, the size of the side x. Any question? All right, no questions as yet. So let's attempt number 2 question. So we're going to attempt it in the same manner that we did. We're just going to first look at the question, see what information we have, and then after that we um we can decide which one of the trig ratios we're going to use. So this is the angling question. I didn't put that. Okay, so this is the angling question. and we don't know what that angle is. Suspect that that is the angle that we're going to be trying to find. So this is the angle in question. You have this side beside it, so you have an adjacent side in play, right? And you also have an opposite side in play, right? So if you look on your trig ratios, you just ask yourself, which of the trig ratios take into consideration adjacent and opposite? So over here, adjacent and hypotenuse, not that opposite and adjacent. So this is what we're going to be using. We're going to be using the tan ratio for this question. So we can go ahead. Tan angle equals to opposite over adjacent, right? In this instance, we are trying to find the angle. So we don't have a value for this angle here. If you choose to put X in here because there's X in the little space here, that's also fine. Your opposite side is 3 centimeters. So you can have that up top. And your adjacent side is 5 centimeters. So we have 5 right here. So tan, I'm just going to plug this in my calculator to get a decimal so that I can work with it a little easier. So I'm just going to plug 3 divided by 5 into my calculator, and I'm going to get 0.6. So tan A equals 0.6. So we haven't as yet found the angle. So in this scenario that we have here, this what is in this bracket is what we want. We want to find a value for it. So this is their angle, right? So usually if this were a number, we would just say carry it across equal sign and the opposite happens. In the cases of tan, cosine, and sine, when you take it across the equal sign, what happens is you get the inverse of it. So what you would end up having is you'd have the angle by itself over here, which is what you want, but you would end up with tan inverse 0.6. So that's what happens when you take it across the equal sign, tan inverse. No, before, so you would end up on your calculator, you press the same button, which is tan, but before you press the same button, you'd have to press shift, depending on your calculator, or second function first. So you press shift or second function, and then you press the number. So if I should put it here, let me just bring up my calculator again. So I'm going to have to touch second function. So I'm clicking my second function, and you will see the inverses pop up, and then you'll have tan -1. It put sine -1 in there. Let me just clear. I didn't clear my calculator first. Sorry. So let me go again. So I go here, go into second function, and it brings up the -1. So yours won't bring up the negative, the inverse of the tangent. But when you touch the button, the same button that says tan, it will bring up the inverse function. So I have a tan -1 here, and I'm going to plug, what was the number again?
0.6.
0.6. So I put 0.6. This calculator work a little funny, it seems. So and I will get 30.96, right? So the answer is 30.96. I could do this on my phone as well, but it's just because I want you to see what it looks like. That's why I'm doing it on that, even though that's not the best way to show you. So what did I get? 30.96. 30.96 degrees. That would be the size of the angle that is missing. Any questions for that one? Okay, so our last.
Miss, what are you like the calculator we are using? Oh, we are gonna find the negative.
The inverse for second. What kind of calculator do you have?
Huh?
You have to press
It
shift
said
or second. It depends on the type of calculator you have, and if I don't see it, I can't tell you.
Press shift. But me know. It's a oh shift up at top here.
Shift
So
up the top,
so
right?
you what
And
you do?
press the same tan.
So you press them together.
No, press one first. So you press shift first, then you press stand, and you will see tan negative to the inverse come up on your calculator.
Okay, okay, yes, I see it come
Great.
up. So press shift first and then you press it. Okay, yes, I got it.
Okay, great. So this one now, I think this one have too much information, honestly, because I just made it up on the fly. But I'm going to change one of them because this one have all the information you need. So, you know, don't make no sense. So since I made it up, I'm going to
This is that a 80 or a 30.
80, 80, 80. All right. So we're going to find this one here. So again, we use the same method. This is our angle of reference. We have the hypotenuse, yes, and we also have the opposite, right? So opposite and hypotenuse, that's using the sine rule. So we can go ahead and solve and use sine. So it's sine the angle equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So this is sine, we have the angle, which is 80, equals to the opposite is what we're trying to find, and the hypotenuse is 5. So if you plug sine 80 in your calculator, I'm just going to do it on my phone for, for quickness. Sine 80 is 0.984. So this is 0.984 equals to x over 5. So I'm interested in finding this x. So I'm going to bring over this 5 here. And since it's being divided, when I carry it over, it's going to be multiplied. So 0.984 times 5 equals to x. The answer is 4.92 centimeter equals to x. So that is your revision for tonight for those trig ratios. And I just wanted to get you just a little bit, back into flexing your muscles so that we can move on comfortably. All right. Anybody have any question before we move on, or anything that you want to clarify? Because we're only going deeper into the tricks thing from here. All right, so we can definitely move on then. So let me just clear my screen. Okay, so for our class tonight, we are going to be focused on a little bit more the general triangle, right? So when you did sine rule, cosine rule, tan, not the rules, tan ratio, the trig ratios, sine, tan, and cosine, as well as Pythagoras theorem. Those were all related to the right angle triangle only. So what that means is if the triangle did not have a right angle, you can't use any of the trig ratios, and you can't use pi fact theory. So what we're going to do tonight is just look at some other rules, some other trig rules that we can use to do for triangles that even if they don't have a right angle, you can still use them, right? So there are two main rules. So we're going to start with the first one, which is the cosine, which is a sine rule. I think that's the easier one. So we can start there. So I'm going to just draw you a triangle here. This is just my triangle. All right. So each of these, this triangle have, of course, three angles. And the angles of a triangle equal to what? If you sum all of the angles in a triangle, what should it be equal to?
180 degrees.
180 degrees. Thank you very much. All right, so each triangle has three angles, right? As we all know. The other thing is that triangles have three sides. So quite like the trig ratios, these ratios are these rules also express a relationship between the angles and the sides in a triangle. So for the sine rule, I have labeled these angles arbitrarily A, B, and C. Doesn't matter. You could label it X, Y, and Z, H, J, and K, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. What matters though is that you appreciate that the side across from B, I'm going to call that little b. The side across from C, I'm calling that little c, and the side across from A, I'm calling that little a. Why? Because I need you to appreciate that the rule that we're going to be looking at has to do with this, with the angle and the side that is opposite to it. So if you had called this angle one, you probably would have to call this 1A, just to have you know that if this is the angle and the side that you're dealing with. So it doesn't matter what you call it, just as long as you appreciate that the rule deals with the angle and the side opposite to it, right? And let me just write up here that we're looking at the sine rule. Right. So what exactly does the rule say? The rule says that there is a relationship between all of these angles and the sine, right? So the rule says the side A, so A is arbitrary, could be any of these, but in our case, this is the side A. If you put that over sine A, which is the sine of the angle A, that is equal to the side B put over the sine of the angle B, and the same for C. Right. So all this rule is simply saying is that there is a relationship between the ratio of side over opposite angles in a triangle. And this relationship exists, doesn't matter the triangle, right? So you can always look at the side and the angle, and you can, so in most cases you're not going to have a situation where you are using them in threes, right? You usually just use two at a time. So you're not going to have a situation where you are using A over sine A, B over sine B, and C over sine C, right? Usually when you use this formula, it's that you are finding one missing thing, and so you only need to use two of them, right? So what do I mean by that? Let me use an example to just drive the point home. Everybody on board with me so far?
Think so?
Have I lost anybody as yet?
Uh, not yet.
No.
Not yet. Excellent. So you're still with me. So let us say I have a triangle like this, because this is trigonometry, no? So I'll be a triangle we are talking about. We have a triangle like this. 30 degrees is that angle. And over here, this is 5 centimeters. And over here, this is 7 centimeters. And let us say, for argument's sake, that I want to find, let me see what I can find. I want to find this angle right here, right? So when I look at this, you know, I mean, of course, we're doing the sine rule now. So you know you're going to apply the sine rule. It's just because we're doing the sine rule. But when you go in the exam and you get a triangle, you don't know if it's the sine rule you're going to have to apply or if you're going to have to apply the cosine rule. You have to examine the triangle on your own and decipher what information you have to tell you whether or not you can decide, you can apply the sine rule. So what information is it that you need before you can assign the sine rule? To use the sine rule, you need at least, so if you look at the rule over here, if you look at it over here, you take, sorry about that. You take two of these. You know that you need at least three of these components. So you need either two angles and a side, or you need two side and one angle. Otherwise, you cannot use the sine rule, right? Just by looking at the equation, because you can only solve for one variable at a time. So if you have side A and angle A, and you have, geez, time running out again. So if you have side A and angle A and side B, you can always find sine the angle B. But if you have two of them missing, you can't use the formula. You understand? So that is how you know if you can apply the sine rule or not in a situation. So in our case here, we have a side and we have the opposite angle. So we can call this side A and angle A. And we have another side that we can call side B. And we have one angle missing, which is angle B that is missing. You understand me? So we know we can use the sine rule. So let's go and apply the sine rule now. So just putting it out. So we say the sine of A. No, that's not what the rule says. The rule said the side A over the sine of A equals to side B over the sine of B. So I am designating that this is my A, my angle A. So this is going to be my side A as well, right? This is big A's angle, and this is my side. This is my B angle, and so this is going to be my B side. Everybody seeing that?
Yes, miss.
One person alone see it, or everybody
Yes.
see it? All right.
Yes,
Okay. All right. So let's plug in the values now that we have. Side A is 5 centimeters. So we have 5 over here. And angle A is 30. So we can put sine 30 right there. That's equal to side B, which we said was 7. And angle B is what we don't know. So this is sine B. Everybody see, oh, I get those values and drop and plug them in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead now and cross multiply. So sine 30 times 7 is equal to sine B, which is the angle that we don't know and we're trying to find, times 5. So again, I would just need to plug the sine 30 into my calculator. Let me just do that. Or somebody else can.
3.5.
How much again?
3.5.
3.5?
3.5.
All right, sine
Yes.
30.
Times 30 times 7.
Oh, you times it by 7. Okay, let me just do. Sine 30 itself is
Yes.
0.5 times 7 equals to sine B times 5. So all we need to get this 0.5 is to plug sine and 30 into our calculator. So now we're going to multiply it by the 7. I will get 3.5. That's what you were saying? 3.5?
Yes, miss.
Okay, great. And that is equal to sine B times 5. So here we are now. We need to get this sine B by itself because the angle B is what we want. So the first step is going to be to remove this 5 that is being multiplied over the equal sign. And because it's being multiplied over here, when we take it across the equal sign, what's going to happen to it? Hmm?
You're going to divide.
It's going to be divided.
Divide.
So 3.5 divided by 5 is sine B. Good. So just plug 3.5 divided by 5 in a calculator. How much you get?
0.7.
0.7 equals to sine B. So we still don't get the B yet, which is the angle that we want because it's attached to sine. So we need to move sine. So again, we're going to do the same thing. But remember we said whenever you do that, oh, what happened? I don't know what happened. Whenever you do that, what happened? And you carry the sign over here, what happens to the sign, we said? Hmm? What happened to the sign when you carry it across an equal sign?
Negative.
And a negative, it's inverse.
It's gonna be a negative sign.
It's not negative,
Inverse.
it's
Inverse.
inverse.
Sorry.
Let us start it
Inverse.
properly because when you put negative on your exam. So it's sine inverse 0.7 equal the angle B.
Inverse.
So now you need to plug this in your calculator. So you need to touch shift if that's on the calculator. If not, you need to touch second function and then you touch 0.7 and tell me what you get. Nobody don't get no answer?
44.427.
44.427. That's the answer. So that angle that we were trying to find just now, it's 44 point, can't find my cursor, 44.427. So it's 44.43. I'm going to run it off. That's what your angle is. And it's an angle, so you need to put your degree sign there. All right. All right. So I'm going to give you two to do using the cosine rule, or at least one to do using the cosine rule, and then I'm going to end this meeting and start a new one. So while you work out the next one, I'm going to just end this meeting and look out for the link to start the next one, where I will go through the question and go through some more questions and then do the cosine rule. Everybody understand? Yes? No?
Okay, me.
I wonder what do you know? I'm not afraid for that. I'm not going to buy it to me, you know. All right.
He's not a fan of Trigs.
Miss, when I never get to start earlier on, when you start 7 o'clock, did you talk about the SBA?
No, 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 we didn't.
Oh, so Miss, when you think sir is going to put us in group?
No, no, so we'll do it next week, I guess, Saturday class. Don't worry about the
I'm
explain
not
now.
going to be at Saturday class.
Well, if you put in a group, you will hear about it. Cannot go be no secret.
Mm,
Don't worry yourself about it. Sir will do the groupings and stuff, and the information, of course, will be sent. You don't have to worry. The information will be sent, and you will be able to work from there. So just take down this because the meeting is going to end pretty soon. So that's what I want you to find. All right. And hurry up and come back on the meeting when the next meeting starts here. I don't know what happened to the other link, but we'll definitely try and get it sorted out for next class because that was supposed to be our midweek link, but I don't know. Something is happening, but we will work out. We have less than 1 minute and it will cut off. So check down the thing before it shut down, all right? Oh, my screen not showing anymore.